A written testimony by Jay Electronica. Jay Electronica has had fans waiting for a debut album for over 10 years now. After just a few features per year, their debut album is done, but with a catch. Jay-Z is on every track. How do we feel about that? Here's our honest review of a written testimony by Jay Electronica.
A written testimony. I did not tell her to say it like that. That was her choice.
Shout out to 1080p.
Shout out to 1080p. Thank you for the bios.
Yes.
You could also send thank you messages as well.
Yeah.
So, watch the Quran.
A written testimony, y'all.
Which I'm calling Watch the Quran.
That's what he's calling it. All right, get that straight from the get-go. All the comments is from him.
Had you heard of Jay Electronica?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't. I just want to make sure because this is a long time ago where this started.
I know. And I've always been, okay, who's this guy that everybody talks about? I've heard a couple songs.
Exhibit A, Exhibit C.
That's the only songs I've heard.
That's the only songs most people have heard.
So, yeah.
He set a legacy for himself right there and then kind of started dating Erykah Badu and stopped putting out music. Okay. So, I guess Erykah Badu.
Hey, you say that. I didn't say that.
I didn't say nothing.
Oh, okay.
I just said, I guess Erykah Badu.
Okay, all right. But watch yourself now. He attacking people on here on Twitter.
Yeah, I know. I saw.
Be careful.
He ain't the one.
Yeah, he ain't the one. Don't mess with him.
How you feel about this album artwork, man?
I mean, it must have some significance that I'm not too sure about. I don't know what the writing is. Is that written testimony in the link? I'm not sure. Did you look it up at all? No? Okay. Well, other than that, I really think it's a kind of a bland album cover, to be honest. So, I mean, there's really not that much to gather from it.
It's Arabic writing with a picture. Nothing fancy. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
The flow of this project, man. The flow of this project is Jay-Z constantly outperforming Jay Electronica on every track. With Jay Electronica actually having a dope soundtrack to back the majority of this project because he produced the majority of the album.
I agree with that. This is a well-produced album with a heavy guest presence.
I like the way you put that. So highlights, man. Ghost of Soldier Slim came on, and I just want to talk about my initial listen to this album real quick. So the first song comes on, and for some reason it didn't click that was Jay-Z. I thought I was tripping.
Thank you.
Because I was just like, hold on.
I did the same thing.
I was like, have I just not heard Jay Electronica that long that his voice lightened up?
No.
I thought his voice was deep.
When you turn on the album, you feel like you're going to hear them first.
Yeah.
So I feel you on that.
And
that
I was just
me.
like, and then I was just like, that almost sounded like Jay-Z. And then when he started off his verse, if you heard it from me and Jay, I was just like,
hold on. And I restarted the track.
Me too. I restarted the track and I'm like, oh, that was Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess it's kind of cool to have Jay-Z on the opening track of your album.
Right.
You go to song number 2, I had number 3, and Jay-Z started rapping again. And I was just like,
oh, that's dope. That's
Jay-Z
real dope.
killed it. But that's really weird to have him on 2 songs because now you just set pretty high expectations for the rest of the album.
Right.
So you got a lot to carry on your own.
Yeah.
So when I heard Jay-Z on the next track, I was just like, oh, he must just be on the whole album.
Yeah. And he was.
And he was.
Except for one. Was it Flux Capacitor?
No, Fruits of the Spirit.
Fruits of the Spirit, yeah.
Was the only song Jay-Z's not on.
Yeah.
So now let me rewind back. I've listened to this album, and I don't care what y'all write in the comments. I'm just letting you know right now. I listened to this album. I listened to this album 9 times.
Damn.
It's short, and I was pressure washing all week. So I had a lot of time to listen to this. All right? I had a lot of time to sit there and consume it. Ghost of Soldier Slim, fire. That song came on, and I was just like, man, this joint is super, super dope. The Blinding, I love the verse Jay-Z came in there with. He came in there, straight slaughtered it. Matter of fact, I like what Jay-Z did the whole project. I just want to say that Jay-Z found a way to make everything, even commercial, even 5%er and Quran speech, and make it commercially viable. I just want to say that Jay-Z is a mastermind in making things sound commercial. The Never Ending Story. Well, at this point, I'm just talking about Jay Electronica. Jay Electronica got out-rapped on Shiny Suit Theory. I thought The Dream did add something really cool to that. Universal Soldier, I thought Jay Electronica brought it with his verse on that. Fruits of the Spirit was Jay Electronica's best verse on this album. It was so much real talk in there. Like, I don't know how you can't walk away from that verse somewhat stunned. Like, man, that's like life now. You know what I'm saying? Ezekiel's Will, featuring The Dream, cool, and AP. I don't even know what that stands for.
All praise
All praise due to Allah.
Yeah.
Okay. I figured, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really a dope song for like kind of like their friends, and I felt like it was appropriate, especially after the whole Nipsey thing, and like, you know, he's
Kobe,
keeping text messages. Yeah, like it's a really kind of like chilling, haunting song, and I thought it was the perfect way to end this project. And I love how Jay-Z addressed the NFL situation, even though I still felt like normally when he addresses something, it's like case closed. I didn't feel like it was case closed in that scenario. And there was some really dope bars in there, some triple entendres that you have to listen to multiple times to catch. Jay-Z is definitely the GOAT.
Yeah, man. Ditto all your thoughts. I feel like, you know, Jay did outperform Jay on this, but only
Jay
because
outperformed Jay.
Jay Electronica. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
let's say so which Jay outperformed which Jay?
We ain't about to make this.
No, because I'm just saying, because you just said Jay outperformed Jay. We need to be clear.
Jay-Z outperformed Jay Electronica.
Cool.
All right. And the only reason I say that is just, well, I'm gonna get that to that later.
Get the gat. Get the gat.
Ghost of Soulja Slim was fire to start with. Like you said, it kind of caught me the first time listening to it, and I was just like, oh snap, that's Jay on here. Cool. And the blinding, I'm sorry. I didn't like it at first because it was just like, I don't know about this. But the more I listened to it, the more it grew on me, just because of how that little small element with Travis Scott kind of helped the song a bit. And I just really love Jay's verse on there. Like, his verse was really, really dope.
I named my son Sir, so you gotta call my son Sir. He already knighted. He ain't even out his rumper. I was like, I wanted to crash the car when I heard that.
The Never Ending Story, I feel like, was the best track to put them both on. I don't think they outdid each other on that song. I felt like they were like damn near even on that because I love both of their verses. I thought it was fire, and I really love the production on that one as well. Shiny Suit Theory, Jay killed it. Like, murdered it. Universal Soldier, I actually liked because of how it started with the whole skit, the bombing and everything like that. And the flows on there was just really dope. I appreciated both of them on that one. Flux Capacitor was cool. I did like Jay's verse on that one. Fruits of the Spirits was really, really dope. Ezekiel's Will and the final track, it was kind of a weak way to end the album. Like, I kind of felt like it really toned the momentum down with what the album started with, but they were good tracks. And that's it.
Lowlights. So, the blinding. I did not like Travis Scott's edition. It felt weird. It felt like a Watch the Throne song. It really felt like it was something Jay-Z and Kanye would have tried to do and try to blend this sound with what Travis Scott does.
Kanye could have been on that.
He probably could have, but I don't want to hear him right now. Yeah, I didn't like what Travis Scott brought to that song. Let's see. Flux Capacitor had one of the worst hooks I've heard in a long time. That hook was horrible.
Did you like that?
And it felt like it was off the beat.
Did you hear that sample?
Which sample?
It's Rihanna.
Nah, I didn't catch it.
Yeah, it's that song. Click it. It's Higher.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I just didn't like it. It sounded like too much was
it says
going
Robin
on.
Fenty in there too. I was wondering why it said James Fauntleroy was put in.
It just kind of felt like it was too much going on.
BB Borelli. Okay. Because they wrote Higher, obviously. Cool. I mean, I guess that's cool. There was some verses from Jay Electronica that I just felt were just flat out just boring, where it just felt like he just was rapping. He addressed him being missing, I want to say 2 or 3 times, and I felt like that was one time too many. Felt like he should have addressed it once on one song and not address it again. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, because it felt like it was a nice portion of the album of him addressing it. I know he, like I said, he only addressed it 2 or 3 times, but it's only 10 songs. So it just felt like, it's like, bruh, like, we get it. You've been gone. You came out with the fire songs, and then you just disappeared for 10 years and just did sporadic guest appearances. But I do feel like he pulled it together with the production. You know what I'm saying? Ezekiel's Will. There was just Jay just constantly kept outshining Jay Electronica. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit here and act like anything Jay Electronica said offended me. You know, shout out to the Jews that were offended by Jay Electronica. I'm not into the word, so I don't know what's supposed to be offensive and what's not supposed to be offensive. You know, but obviously he said something that offended some people. Peter Rosenberg kind of went out on a rant, and he was saying he was kind of like battling with himself over whether he should say something or whether he shouldn't say anything. I get it. Either way, people are gonna have something to say. I feel like we should be mindful of what other people are going through at the same time. I feel like as artists, people should be able to say what they want to say as well. So technically, I'm not taking any sides. I don't know the word. I honestly don't care about the word. If you do, I'm not trying to offend you. That's just not my life. I like to just go live and do whatever the fuck I want to do under my circumstances. But dope verses from Jay, some cool verses from Jay Electronica, mainly born as verses from Jay Electronica. Dope beats from Jay Electronica.
Yeah, man. Listen, I know I'm probably not part of the fandom of Jay Electronica, you know, all the supporters and everything. So I may not like initially gravitate to, I guess, the overwhelming significance of this debut album. But I think it was a bad idea of having Jay-Z on your debut album, because for me,
on every song
okay. of the album.
I'm about to say, you just leave it at that. You
Yeah,
so J. Cole shouldn't have had him on his first album.
I feel you. So yeah, to have him everywhere on the album, but one song
highlights your flaws.
That as well, but it's just like for an outsider, I guess you can say, because I'm not really a Jay Electronica fan. Me coming into a debut album, I want to know about Jay Electronica. So, like you were explaining, when the album first came on, we're like, oh, damn, Jay is on this song. Jay-Z is on this song. Jay-Z is on this song. To me, I'm just like, since I know about Jay-Z, I'm only thinking about Jay-Z, and I'm not paying attention to Jay Electronica. So, it kind of comes as a disservice to you when you're trying to get new listeners to you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. He might not care about that. That may be what he wanted. That was his dream, to have Jay-Z all over his debut album, and that's cool. But for me, it's not going to get me paying attention to who you are as an artist, especially when Jay-Z is, in my opinion, shining all over you on this album. Now, when I go back and digest some of the lyrics, there are some lyrics where I'm like, yo, that was a hot bar. That was dope. Everything like that. But when it comes to Jay Electronica, I just don't really like his delivery. His delivery seems boring to me. And, you know, when it's something that's supposed to pack a punch, I really don't get it. Unless I just play it back in my head like, oh, yeah, that's dope. So that's when it comes to me, the low light of this album is just the fact that you have another artist overshadowing your debut, in my opinion.
Final thoughts. And the liquor is kicking in now. I just want to point out the fact that I feel like this does nothing for you if you're Jay Electronica. Because at the end of the day, as I was listening to it, I felt like there was more to break down in what Jay-Z was saying than what he was saying. You know, and I'm not saying that there's nothing to break down in what Jay Electronica was saying, but it comes down to the word for him. And I am not religious. Don't preach to me when you're rapping. And if you want to preach, that's fine. Just know that if I'm reviewing your album, which you don't have to care to watch, I'm not going to really rock with it. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I don't want to hear this album again. I'm not even going to lie to you. I feel like I listened to it that much. Like I told my wife this morning, like I don't even want to listen to it again this morning because I listened to it so much over the last couple of days. Just because it was so short, it was easy to get through. I listened to it while I was mowing the lawn, pressure washing. I was doing everything listening to this joint. In the car, on the way to work, on the way from work. Listen to this everywhere. Don't care to listen to it again. Some dope verses here from Jay. But at the same time, my question while listening to this album, and I don't know if any of you care about this question, is would Jay have done this album if he knew would Jay-Z have done this album if he knew Jay Electronica could out-rap him? That's the question I sent out to everybody that I respect their opinion in hip-hop. Like, yo, seriously speaking, would he have done it? Because I don't see him doing a joint album with Drake or with Wale or with Big Sean or Kendrick Lamar, like people that can spit. And I'm not saying Jay Electronica can't. He just ain't like a double entendre monster. Jay-Z ain't never gonna even consider doing a joint album with like a Lupe Fiasco. He would probably laugh in your face if you even suggested it. Why? Because Lupe can rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can do what you do.
Yeah.
But I don't, and with that said, I'm just saying that just because I feel like Jay just showed how Jay Electronica has not evolved. Jay-Z has showed how Jay Electronica hasn't evolved. His flow, it still sounds the same as it did, because I went and I listened to Exhibit A and C because I hadn't heard him in a while. And I was just like, he doesn't feel like he's changed much. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he's lived life, and he did talk about like being like, you know, going through some troubles and stuff, but I didn't feel it. It didn't feel like a lot had happened in 10 years from listening to this album. Yeah. You know, I like the Farrakhan skits. That's all I got, man.
Well, yeah. I'm not gonna keep you long. I'm just gonna say that, you know, I feel like for a new listener who's trying to get acclimated to a new artist, this wasn't the greatest introduction because I was thinking about another artist the whole time. Will I go back and listen to this again? Probably not. If I was probably pick a song I might go back and listen to, maybe The Blinding, Never Ending Story. But that's about it. And like, I feel like y'all gonna be like, oh, y'all don't understand, but I'm just giving you my honest critique. There's really nothing that special here for me, in my opinion, that I don't think it's gonna be like looked back as, you know. Let me take that back. It might be classic in y'all eyes, but mine it's not gonna be. I'm just gonna say that.
Final grade. Is this gonna end up in my top 10 list at the end of the year? Probably not. If like the stuff that we expect to come out comes out and it's even decent. Jay-Z and the instrumentals alone get a dash. That'll get you a dash just by itself. Jay Electronica, in my opinion, is doper in production than he is in the way he raps about the things that he talks about. So I think Jay Electronica should definitely stick behind the boards. I think he's dope in that way. Can he spit? Yeah, he can. But I only felt it on like 2 songs where I was just like, yo, he came off on that. The rest of it, it was just stuff I don't want to hear about. I don't care to hear about. If you read the Quran or your 5%ers, this might be the album you've been waiting for 10 years. But not me.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a dash as well just because of the production. Because I did feel like the production was handled really well on here. Even though it was like a little bit minimalistic or everything like that. But I just feel like there's not really enough to give me the recommendation for you to check this out. Because it's really not for everybody.
Stop calling Rick Rubin.